stabbed 14 times, including 7 wounds to his back, 4 to his torso, 2 to the back of his head, and 1 to the left side of his face.
Rapper Tory Lanez is in serious condition following a vicious attack in prison and is battling for his life. Word has it that the story may have turned out quite differently if the guards had been even 1 minute late. The doctor has now disclosed some startling new information about his health that no one anticipated. So what's actually happening, and how awful is it? The details keep flooding in. A jail assault has left Tory Lanez critically ill when word leaked out about the vicious attack on Tory Lanez inside a California prison on May 12, 2025. The whole rap scene was rocked. At the California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi, what began as a routine day in the yard swiftly devolved into a life-or-death situation when Lanez, also known as Dr. Peterson on the streets, was jumped and stabbed 14 times by another inmate. The violent incident began at around 7:20 a.m., sending the entire facility into lockdown as the guards hurried to get medical attention for the seriously injured rapper. The official documentation makes it clear that the man was stabbed. It appeared to be a well-planned attack with the goal of doing significant work on Lanez, as he sustained 7 stab wounds to his back, 4 to his chest, 2 to the back of his head, and 1 to the left side of his face. The shank was explained as one of those homemade weapons that prisoners make behind those walls using whatever materials they can find. Not only were there numerous stab wounds, but the significant medical emergency that resulted from the repeated punctures to Lanez's chest caused both of his lungs to collapse, posing a serious risk to his life. Doctors call bilateral pneumothorax. Medical experts explain that when air gets where it isn't supposed to be, between the lungs and chest wall, it creates pressure that stops the lungs from expanding, making it nearly impossible to breathe properly. When both lungs collapse at the same time, it's a double threat because your body can't compensate like it normally would. The prison medical staff weren't playing when they saw how Lanez was struggling to breathe. They activated emergency protocols on the spot, giving him first aid before rushing him to a civilian hospital in Bakersfield. At the hospital, doctors put him on a breathing machine while they worked to fix his collapsed lungs and assess all the damage from the multiple stab wounds. For a performer who makes his bread with his body and voice, the possibility of serious respiratory damage had everyone wondering if he'd ever be the same on the mic. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation confirmed what went down in their official statement, saying, at approximately 7:20 a.m. today, Dr. Peterson, BW0168, was attacked by another inmate at a housing unit in the California Correctional Institution, CCI, in Tehachapi. Staff immediately responded, activated 911, and began medical aid. As authorities attempt to piece together what led to this violent encounter, Lanez's attorney, Jose Baez, has been working hard to get the full scoop about his client's condition and what actually happened. While Baez hasn't been running his mouth too much in the press, he confirmed to the media that he's in touch with prison officials and staying on top of the situation in a quick statement to TMZ. Peterson was later taken to an outside medical facility for additional treatment, but they have been silent about who did it or why it happened, claiming the investigation is still ongoing with the Kern County DA's office and the Office of the Inspector General. As word of the stabbing spread, fans and followers flooded social media with messages expressing love and concern for the rapper despite all the drama surrounding Lane from the Megan incident. Baez described Lanez as cheerfully recovering and anticipated that he would make a full recovery, stressing that his client is a soldier despite the seriousness of his injuries. The Stallion shooting case triggered larger discussions about the true risks of prison life and how even well-known convicts suffer threats inside those walls. Many people expressed amazement at the brutality he experienced inside and hoped he would survive the attack. Fans of Lanez have gained optimism thanks to updates on his health based on a statement that was uploaded on his verified Instagram account. The fact that Lanez is breathing on his own is a significant W in his recovery process. Tory was stabbed 14 times, with 7 wounds to his back, 4 to his torso, 2 to the back of his head, and 1 to the left side of his face. Both of his lungs collapsed, and he was put on a breathing apparatus. Despite the pain, he is speaking normally, in good spirits, and incredibly grateful to God that he is surviving. Medical professionals who know about collapsed lung cases say this suggests the doctors were successful in reinflating his lungs, though the healing process for the damaged lung tissue is just getting charted. Each of those 14 stab wounds brings its own set of medical problems, infection, scarring, and potential damage to surrounding areas, depending on how deep they went and exactly hit. Hey, for Lanez, the road to recovery isn't going to be quick or easy. Easy trauma specialists say healing from injury. This series typically take months, not weeks, as with the first few weeks being crucial to prevent complications like infection or internal bleeding. The 3 months after that will focus on building his strength back up, especially for his damaged lungs. While it's good news that he can speak normally and is keeping his head up, the physical and mental impact of such a violent attack will likely stay with him long after the visible wounds have healed. As the investigation continues, there's still a lot we don't know about what led to the attack. Prison officials are looking through security footage, speaking with witnesses, and analyzing evidence to determine exactly what happened in the prison yard that morning. The results could result in additional charges against the perpetrator, and possibly force the facility to review its security procedures in order to stop future occurrences of this kind. The stabbing adds another crazy chapter to Lanez's already crazy journey, leaving many wondering what the future holds for the controversial rapper as he continues to navigate the harsh realities of life behind bars. Lanez is still in medical care and undergoing a lengthy recovery process while serving his 10-year sentence for the shooting conviction. Despite his contentious legal past, Tory Lanez has received a lot of love from fans and some industry leaders. The near-fatal attack appears to have momentarily changed the way people talk about Lanez, with many putting aside their opinions about his conviction to show sincere concern for his well-being in this life-threatening circumstance. Using hashtags like #NowOrPrayFor and #StayStrong, fans swiftly filled social media platforms with messages of prayer and support, turning these online gatherings into forums where supporters communicated updates on his health, posted their favorite songs or performances, and wished him well. Some people who had previously criticized Lanez for his involvement in the Megan Thee Stallion shooting also showed empathy for his current predicament, demonstrating how dire situations can occasionally transcend personal animosities. Although, the response has been noticeably more subdued than one might, anticipating an artist of Lanez's caliber who hasn't been found guilty of a serious crime. A number of prominent figures in the music industry have also spoken out in the wake of the attack. This measured response from the industry illustrates the complex position Lanez holds in the music world after his conviction while maintaining a devoted fan base and some industry allies. Since his transgression was so terrible and the industry as a whole is dealing with issues of violence against women, many companies, promoters, and other musicians have avoided him. Lanez's relatives, especially his dad. Throughout his legal issues, stunt star Peterson has been outspoken and is still supporting him in this most recent crisis. Throughout the process, Peterson, who came to notice for his passionate outburst following the guilty decision, has insisted on his son's innocence and probably sees the jail attack as more unfairness in an already unfair circumstance. Tory Lanez was involved in one of the most well-known cases the music industry has seen in recent years. The shooting that sent him to prison before he ended up fighting for his life in a prison hospital bed started on a summer night in 2020, following what should have been just another exciting Hollywood Hills party, but that night would forever alter his life and the life of a fellow artist. On July 12, 2020, Megan Thee Stallion appeared at Kylie Jenner's crib for a pool party. Lanez, while driving in an SUV, Megan Thee Stallion, whose real name is Megan Pete, and her then homegirl, Kelsey Harris, got into a heated argument. As Megan later stated in court, she made the decision to hop out of the whip in order to get away from the situation before it got worse.
It was an argument because I was ready to go and everybody else wasn't ready to go. But that's like normal friend stuff.
According to Megan, as she left the car, Lanez yelled, "Dance, bitch!" before firing shots at her feet, causing her to sustain wounds in both of them fall to the ground bleeding, and require surgery for her injuries, which she claimed caused permanent nerve damage. What transpired next would become the industry's talk on social media, and ultimately the focus of a significant criminal trial. When the police reacted to reports of gunfire and pulled over the car, the aftermath of the shooting was nearly as hectic as the actual event. Megan initially stated that she cut her feet on glass, but she later clarified that her decision was motivated by concern for the possible reactions of police officers in the tense atmosphere surrounding George Floyd's murder a few weeks prior. She was particularly concerned about what might happen to Lanez, a black man, if they discovered that he had a burner in the car in which he had done so.
So I get out the car and it's like everything happens so fast. And all I hear is this man screaming, he said, "Dance, bitch." And he started shooting.
And he began firing. Lanez was arrested that evening on suspicion of carrying a concealed weapon in a car, but she was granted $35,000 bail. At this point, the entire incident was unknown to the public, but on August 20th, 2020, Megan went live on Instagram and immediately named Lana as the person who had shocked her with a revelation that split the hip-hop community and beyond. As the case progressed, the streets and the music industry became divided, and Megan faced intense scrutiny and skepticism from various figures in the music industry and on the internet, who either questioned her account or offered alternative explanations. Throughout, Lanez insisted on his innocence, even releasing the full album Dayar in September 2020, which addressed the accusations and provided his version of events. On October 8, 2020, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office charged Lanez with felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic handgun, carrying a loaded unlicensed firearm in a vehicle, and firing a firearm with gross carelessness. The legal proceedings proceeded slowly but steadily. Lanez entered a not guilty plea to all charges on November 18, 2020, and the trial finally began on December 5, 2022, following 9 days of delays. During the trial, the jury heard testimony from witnesses, including Megan, who detailed the emotional and physical toll that the incident and the public backlash had taken on her life and career. Megan also testified about receiving death threats and having suicidal thoughts, at one point saying, "I wish he would have shot and killed me. If I knew I would go through this torture, shoot me and kill me." Harris Kelsey, initially appearing hesitant and inconsistent, Megan's former friend, who was present at the scene, gave testimony under immunity. However, prosecutors played a recorded interview in which she had previously named Lanez as the shooter, and the jury also heard from a detective who supported Megan's claim that Lanez shouted, "Dance, dance," during the shooting, although his testimony wasn't entirely clear. A witness who witnessed the incident from his window claimed to have seen a smaller man fire near a woman while flashing his muzzle. Lanez declined to testify in defense. Instead, his legal team contended that Harris, not Lanez, was the real shooter, implying that she was extremely enraged over jealousy over Lanez's relationships with both women. They also cast doubt on Megan's credibility due to her initial false statement to the police, implying that her motivations might be related to advancing her music career. Following 2 days of deliberation, the jury returned a guilty verdict on all 3 charges on December 23, 2022. Lanez's father allegedly caused a commotion in the courtroom, screaming about a corrupt system and asserting that the trial was a miscarriage of justice during the heated exchange.
Stood here in this Los Angeles County and witnessed the worst miscarriage of justice that this world has ever seen.
Prosecutors had argued for a 13-year sentence, citing Lanez's campaign of disinformation and danger to public safety, while his defense team had asked for probation and drug treatment in lieu of jail time. On August 8, 2023, Judge David Hereford sentenced Lanez to 10 years in the pen, with credit for 305 days already served through a combination of jail time and house arrest. During the hearing for sentencing, Lanez addressed the court expressing regret for his actions while maintaining a stance that seemed to stop short of fully admitting guilt for the shooting itself. "If I could turn back the series of events that night and change them, I would," he stated, adding, "I want to apologize to everyone in this courtroom, the court itself, and Megan. I am everything but proud of myself. The court also issued a protective order requiring Lanez to stay at least 100 yards away from Megan and to avoid any contact with her. His motion for a new trial got denied in May 2023, and a request for bond during his appeal process was shot down in September 2023, ensuring he would remain locked up at the California Correctional Institution in Tehapi, while his legal team continued to pursue appeals throughout this period. The case continued to spark heated debates on social media and within the hip-hop community. Megan faced significant backlash, including death threats, and people calling her a liar, which she addressed directly during her testimony, noting the industry's big boys club mentality. Support for both artists divided along various lines, with some public figures eventually apologizing for initially doubting Megan's account. After evidence came out during the trial, Tory Lanez and Megan's connection prior to the collapse, the gunplay, the courtroom drama, the jail terms, and being shunned, the stallion had what looked like a solid friendship that might have briefly turned into something more serious. Their relationship, which started with genuine vibes and creative collaborations, is mad different from the bitter legal beef that would later define how people see them together. The first time these two artists were spotted linking up was probably at the Bougie Rock Nation brunch in January 2020, a star-studded industry event. Where all the heavy hitters in music come through at this gathering, Megan reportedly tried to play matchmaker, attempting to set up her friend Kelsey Harris with Tory Lanez, which suggests she initially saw him as someone she trusted and respected, enough to bring into her inner circle as winter turned to spring. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic had everybody on lockdown, creating a strange situation where creativity and connections often popped up in unexpected ways. During this period, Megan and Tory's friendship became more public, with Megan making appearances on Tory's popular Instagram live show Quarantine Radio, which had become the move during the early days of lockdown. They were also caught making TikToks together and sipping drinks on social media activities that suggested they were mad comfortable with each other. These public interactions had fans speculating about a possible romance, though neither artist confirmed they were officially booed up at the time. Their bond seemed partly built on shared experiences, especially the loss of their mothers, a deep pain that both artists had dealt with. While in the spotlight, this common ground might have created a deeper connection beyond just being industry colleagues.
Put my hands on anybody. I never raised my voice too loud. Like, this was one of them times where it was like, it shouldn't have got this crazy.
Depending on who is telling it, there are many accounts of the true nature of their relationship at this period. In an interview with Gayle King from 2022, Lanez gave his side of the story on his 2020 album Daystar, claiming they had taken covert flights to see each other and that Megan had kept their relationship under wraps from Kelsey Harris. Megan denied ever having a sexual relationship with Lanez, but in her later documentary, Megan Thee Stallion, she acknowledged a brief hookup, saying it happened once or twice on a drunken night. She explained that her earlier denial was due to her discomfort with the question and all the public scrutiny about her personal business. The defense throughout the trial implied that there was more to the narrative than what had been publicly stated, pointing out that whatever was truly positive between them by early July 2020 may have contributed to the dispute on the night of the shooting due to envy over Tory's connections with both women. While it's common for relationships to end badly, few turn into violent incidents with gunshot wounds and decade-long prison sentences. Megan and Tory appeared to be cool enough with each other to hang out socially when they showed up together at a pool party at Kylie Jenner's place on July 12th. Videos taken earlier that day showed them relaxing by the pool, seemingly enjoying each other's company, with no indication of the drama that would explode later that night. This change highlights the tense circumstances and begs the issue of what actually transpired between the two artists before that tragic evening. Undoubtedly, the truth won't be revealed until the incident is tried in court. Their connection was primarily expressed in public diss monitors and posts on social media. Megan's 2020 song Shots addresses the tragedy, released a powerful disc with bars that seem to ridicule Lanez's behavior and accuse him of capping to preserve his reputation, and it featured samples of the infamous Big West Who Shot You. In the meantime, Lanez presented his version of events, on his Dayar album, refuting the accusations and implying that Megan's crew had attempted to set him up. The case demonstrated how easily relationships may break down when there is considerable animosity, particularly when professional reputations and potential legal repercussions are involved. It also highlighted the difficulties in managing interpersonal relationships in the harsh light of public scrutiny and social media comments, when private issues are swiftly turned into subject matter for public discussion and decision-making during the trial and appeals process. Additional information on the intricate relationships between Megan Lanez and Kelsey Harris was revealed. Witness testimony, recorded phone conversations, and text messages all pointed to a relationship that had grown more complex and ultimately poisonous. The fallout from the shooting and trial has had a significant impact on both artists' lives and careers. Megan testified that Lanez had offered her and Harris $1 million each to keep quiet about the shooting, citing his probation status for a previous weapons offense, an allegation that, if true, would suggest he knew he had messed up that night. Megan has spoken openly about the emotional damage, including depression and anxiety made worse by public skepticism and online hate she described feeling betrayed, not only by Lanez but by a music industry that she felt didn't fully have her back as a victim of violence for Lanez. The consequences have been even more severe, with his conviction in prison time dramatically changing the trajectory of his career and personal life. His transition from celebrity status to just another inmate has been a serious reality check for the once flourishing artist when he checked into the California Correctional Institution in Tehapi in September 2023 to start his 10-year bid. He stepped into a world completely different from the lavish lifestyle he was used to as a successful recording artist located about 75 mi north of Los Angeles. This medium security facility became Lanez's new home, stripped of all the freedoms, luxuries, and creative outlets that had defined his life on the outside. The first months of lockup are usually the hardest for any new inmate, but for high-profile prisoners like Lanez, adjusting to prison life hits different. Celebrity inmates often face unique challenges, including potential targeting by other inmates looking to make a name for themselves. The mental struggle of adapting to a drastically reduced social status and the constant eyes of both correctional officers and fellow inmates watching their every move. Despite these challenges, Lanez appeared committed to maintaining his composure and optimistic outlook, which would later be essential during his recuperation from the stabbing. Even after you were imprisoned, Lanez kept making news. His legal team filed a habeas corpus petition in October 2023 and pursued other appeals, but these attempts were unsuccessful in overturning his conviction. False statements about his innocence circulated on social media, leaving fans perplexed about the status of his case, and serving as a reminder of how public opinion frequently twists celebrity legal situations. While some prisons provide arts programs or recording opportunities for inmates, access to these resources varies widely and is frequently limited, potentially limiting Lanez's ability to remain creative during his incarceration. Despite these challenges, life inside prison walls is strictly regulated, with inmates adhering to rigid schedules for meals, work assignments, yard time, and lockdowns. For Lanez, this structured existence represented a significant adjustment. In interviews before his arrest, Lanez frequently discussed his capacity to overcome challenges and adjust to trying situations, suggesting that he is handling his current predicament with tenacity. He discussed his approach to overcoming hardship in a 2022 appearance on The Breakfast Club, stating, "I'm lion-hearted. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Leo. My mom always told me I was a wolf. And she said, you know wolves, we fight in packs." It remains to be seen whether Lanez can eventually turn his life around in the eyes of the public, rebuild his career, and forge a bright future outside of his incarceration. But one thing is certain: the road ahead will not be simple or straightforward, requiring ongoing fortitude, personal development, and an examination of the actions that brought him to this point. After all, you know that a wolf will always bring it back home to the pack. Thank you for viewing. To view more related material, click on one of the boxes that is currently playing on your screen.